In a world that never stops screaming for attention, we have forgotten the most dangerous weapon a person can possess: silence. We live in an age where we feel that if we don't post it, it didn't happen. If we don't tell our friends our plans, they aren't real. But every time you speak your dream out loud before it is ready, you are leaking the very fuel you need to build it. You are giving away your power to people who have no interest in seeing you grow. In the ancient, windswept city of Lumina, there lived a young man named Cyprian. Cyprian was born with a mind that could see the hidden geometry of the world. He didn't just see stones, he saw how stones could lean on each other to reach the heavens. He wanted to be a master builder, the kind of man who created cathedrals that would stand for 1,000 years. But Cyprian had a leak in his soul. He was addicted to the look of admiration in people's eyes. Every evening at the local tavern, Cyprian would roll out his blueprints on the wooden tables. "Look at this," he would exclaim to the crowd. "I have discovered a way to make a dome so light it will seem to float on air. I will use the red clay from the southern cliffs and mix it with crushed seashells." The villagers would gasp. They would pat him on the back and buy him drinks. In those moments, Cyprian felt like a king. He felt the rush of success without having laid a single brick. He spent his nights talking about building and his mornings sleeping because he was too exhausted from the celebration of his own ideas. His father, Bastian, a man who had spent 40 years carving silent statues for the king, watched his son with a growing shadow of worry. One night, Bastian led Cyprian into his workshop. The room was deathly quiet, smelling of cold stone and cedar. "Cyprian," his father said, pointing to a half-finished statue of a lion, "do you know why the lion is the king of the jungle? It is not because he roars. He roars only when the hunt is over. He is king because he can move through dry leaves without making a sound. He knows that his silence is his greatest advantage. But you are like a bird that chirps so loudly it tells every predator in the forest exactly where its nest is." "Father, you are old-fashioned. If I don't tell the world my genius, how will the king ever find me?" "The king does not look for the man with the loudest voice. He looks for the man with the strongest walls, and strength is grown in the dark." The opportunity of a lifetime soon arrived. The king announced the grand tournament of architects. The winner would be granted a chest of gold and the title of Hand of the Crown. Cyprian was ecstatic. He spent 3 days in a fever of inspiration, drawing a design for a bridge of light, a structure so complex it required a secret mathematical formula he had discovered in an old scroll. But Cyprian couldn't help himself. He wanted to feel the victory early. He invited his 2 closest friends, Valerius and Lucan, to his workshop. He swore them to secrecy and then showed them everything. He explained the formula. He showed them exactly where the keystone would be placed. He felt the warmth of their praise, and it felt better than any gold. The day of the presentation came. Cyprian walked into the palace, his heart beating with pride. But as he waited in the hall, he heard a familiar voice. He looked through the heavy oak doors and saw Valerius standing before the king's judges. Valerius was holding a scroll. He was explaining a bridge of light. He was using Cyprian's formula. He was even using the same red clay and crushed seashells. Cyprian's world turned to ice. He rushed forward, shouting, "That is my design! He stole it from me!" The judges looked at Cyprian with cold eyes. "Valerius brought this design to us 3 days ago, young man. He had the models, the calculations, and the witnesses. If this is yours, why have we only heard your voice in the taverns and never seen your work in the sun?" Valerius looked at Cyprian with a smirk that said, "You gave me the map, and you are surprised I found the treasure." Cyprian was thrown out of the palace. He had no proof. He had spent all his energy talking his dream into existence, while Valerius had spent those 3 days building it in silence. Cyprian returned home to find that even his neighbors mocked him. "There goes the man who builds bridges with his mouth," they laughed. For weeks, Cyprian sat in a dark room. He wanted to give up. He felt the heavy weight of betrayal. But then he remembered the lion. He went to his father. "I want to start again, but I want to be dead to the world." Bastian nodded. "Then you must take the vow of the hidden hand. For 5 years, you will not speak of your work. You will not show your face in the square. You will work in the cellar, and you will let your tools be your only friends." The next 5 years were the hardest of Cyprian's life. He moved to a small, abandoned stone hut on the edge of the dead marshes. The villagers eventually forgot he existed. Valerius, meanwhile, became rich and famous. He built buildings that looked beautiful on the outside, but were hollow and weak on the inside, because he only cared about the look of success, just as Cyprian once had. Cyprian worked. When his hands bled, he didn't complain. When he made a breakthrough in physics that would allow a tower to stand against a hurricane, he didn't run to the tavern. He wrote it down, locked it in a chest, and went back to work. He became a ghost, but his soul became a giant. Then the great storm hit. It was a hurricane of the likes of which Lumina had never seen. The bridge of light that Valerius had built snapped like a toothpick. The king's new palace began to lean. The city was in terror. The structures built on talk and ego were falling apart. In the middle of the storm, a man appeared at the palace gates. He was dressed in simple, rough wool. He didn't have a scroll. He had a heavy, iron-bound chest. It was Cyprian. He didn't ask for a reward. He didn't give a speech. He simply opened his chest and showed the king's engineers the reinforcements he had spent 5 years perfecting. He led the workers into the rain. He moved with a terrifying focus. He spoke only in commands. In one night, Cyprian saved the city's foundations. When the sun rose over the clearing skies, the king stood before Cyprian. "Where have you been? We thought you were a failure. We thought you had disappeared." Cyprian looked at the king, then at the ruins of Valerius's bridge. "I didn't disappear, Your Majesty. I just went where the work is done. I learned that a dream shared too early is a dream stolen. I learned that the most powerful thing a man can do is to let the world wonder about him while he builds a reality they cannot ignore." Cyprian didn't become a celebrity. He didn't go back to the tavern. He became the chief architect, but he kept his workshop private. He lived a life of immense mystery and even greater power. My dear friends, if you want to be successful, you must learn to kill the fan inside of you. You don't need the applause of people who haven't even seen your work. The psychology of social reality. When you tell someone your goal, your brain receives a chemical reward as if you have already achieved it. This kills your motivation. Stay hungry by staying silent. Privacy is a filter. People cannot ruin what they do not know. If they don't know your plan, they cannot plant seeds of doubt or jealousy in your path. Be a lion, not a bird. The world is full of people who are famous for what they are going to do. Be the person who is respected for what you have already done. Stop announcing your life. Build in the dark and let your light be so bright that people have to squint just to look at your success.